Hey everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I wanted to come on and share a process video on how to make these fun penguin spinner cards. This is my guest design team project for Maymay Made It. Plus I'm using a handful of dies from Diamond Dies, where I'm also a design team member. So I'm starting off with the Labels 1 nesting die. This is from Diamond Dies, and I'm just running it through my Big Shot. I'm using a piece of washi tape just to hold it in place because my cutting plates are a little bit warped and I have a magnetic die cutting plate at the bottom and it kind of makes the die slide around unless I put some washi tape on top of the die and the cardstock. Now I'm using the Mary die from the Hero Arts Mary Stamp and Cut set. And I'm running that with a blue metallic paper, and I think it's going to add a nice pop of shine and color for this card front. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers little pokey tool to get the Mary die cut word out of the die. And now I'm using 2 of those Labels 1 nesting dies to make a little frame that's going to go around that white cardstock label that I had initially cut. I think this frame is going to add a nice frame for that label. Now I'm using some other snowflake dies and using the little bits, scraps of the blue metallic cardstock that I had left over. That's one of the great things about using dies, is that you can use the smallest of scraps of cardstock, unlike electronic cutting machines. And it's really great to use up these little scraps. Now I'm using art glitter glue. You can get that at Maymay Made It, and I especially love it with this really great fine tip nozzle, which Maymay also sells. I'm using that to put a little bead of glue all around that blue metallic frame, and I'm going to glue that right onto that label, and I think that adds a nice finished look. Now I'm going to do the same thing and put some little dots of glue onto the back of that Mary die cut word, and I'm going to glue that onto the middle of that label. And I'm doing that so that I can properly place the stamped sentiment around that die cut Mary. I'm going to use my Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to place the words above and below that die cut Mary. This is all from the stamp set from Hero Arts, and the sentiment is going to read, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I'm using VersaFine ink so that I get a nice crisp stamped sentiment. And there you go. You can see that it's stamped really crisply and cleanly. Now I'm going to use a bit of pattern paper from a holiday collection from years ago, and I cut it to 4 1/4 by 11, and then I'm making it into a top folding card. I'm taking another pattern paper from the same card stack, the paper stack, and I'm cutting that down to 4 by 10 3/4, and again scoring it down the middle. But as you can see, I'm folding the right sides together so that it can be the inside of the card. Now I am using my ATG gun to glue on or adhere on that label, and I'm using some of those blue metallic snowflakes that I had cut out of the scraps to add some framing around that sentiment. I didn't have enough of the blue metallic paper to make frames around all of my labels. I've done 2 with the frames, 2 without the frames, and the ones without the frames, I'm using the blue snowflakes that I have die cut out. Here you can see the one that I did with the blue metallic frame around the label, and for that one I'm using some white die cut snowflakes, and I'm just adding those as little extra accessories around the card front. And I think that adds nice little dimensional extras. And for the inside, I'm using a few extra die cut snowflakes for the inside label as well. To add a little extra sparkle, I'm using a Nuvo glitter drops from Maymay Made It shop. It's the Midnight Sky, and I just added little dots around the white snowflakes. Now for the spinner portion, I'm using the 2 penguins that have the ornaments and the lights, and I've put that on a piece of acetate, and I'm inking that up on my Misty, and then on the right you see a background stamp. That's a lawn fawn stamp that has a lot of detail to it because I wanted that smooth side of that wood grain to be able to pick up the ink so that I can get the reverse or mirror image of those adorable little penguins. Now I'm using my Memento tuxedo marker, and I'm gonna make those lines extra crisp. Plus I'm making the backs of these penguins. I think when I'm making spinners, I don't like to have faces on both sides. So for penguins, it's really easy. You can just color the backs black. And it's a perfect way to make a spinner that has both a front and a back. And I'm taking the fine tip side of that Memento dual marker, and I'm just making the antlers and the edges of those penguins really crisp. That mirror stamping technique sometimes doesn't come out very crisp, as you can see here, and it's really easy to fix that, especially for images like this that are mostly black, like the back of a penguin. So you can see that this way I will get the perfect reverse image in terms of the antler positions, the ornament positions, and things like that, but that middle area of the penguin can just be colored in all black. Here you can see me just crisping up the lines of the ornaments hanging from the antlers, and with the fine tip side of the Tsukaneko Memento dual marker, it's really easy to make those nice and crisp and really well defined. I'm going to do the same thing for the penguin with the Christmas lights, and I start just kind of outlining all of the lights, and then I realize I'm going to put this, as if it's the back of the penguin again. So you're going to see me in a minute after I define the antlers and whatnot, just coloring in, again, that face of this penguin and the belly so that it looks like the back. But I'm going to first go around all of the Christmas lights, the electric connections between them, so that I have all of those nice and crisp. I'm using the broader felt tip side of this Memento tuxedo black marker to color in more richly the body of the penguin. Now, you don't have to watch me do all of this, but I basically wanted to show you that that's how easy it is to do the front and backs of these adorable little penguins. This penguin set, by the way, is also available at Maymay Made It, and it's by Joy Claire. I'm going to have a link to all of the supplies that I've used in my blog post, which I'll link to below. Now for the Copic coloring. You could actually color this up with any kind of marker, but I'm basically using kind of rainbow colors to color in all the Christmas lights and ornaments, and I've picked a red, a blue, a purple, a yellow, and a green. I think also in the ornament section, I use the same colors, but I also add an orange because I had one extra ornament that I didn't want to repeat a color for. And for coloring these up, there's not any shading really that I'm doing other than right now I'm going to add with a Uniball Signo white jelly roll pen. I'm just cleaning up a little bit of the stray marks that I made because my hand was shaking a little bit when I was redefining the lines. And then I'm adding some highlights to these ornaments. There's just enough room to add these highlight lines with the white jelly roll pen. And I think that adds a nice little shine. Now I'm just going to take a regular acrylic stamping block and stamp out the images just right side up. And I'm doing that so that I can do the front sides of these penguins now. This is the easy part, right? So I'm going to just do the same kind of coloring as I did on the back sides. And for the ornaments in particular, I'm making sure that the ornaments are positioned in the same color format. So the blue where the blue ornament is, the red where the red ornament is, and so on and so forth. So when the front and back are glued back to back, that it will make sense that the ornaments haven't changed position somehow. And I'm using the same white jelly roll pen to add highlights to, now this time, the upper right of the ornaments. Now I'm taking the inside liner sheet cardstock, and I'm putting in some DMC gold metallic thread. And I'm using a X-Acto knife to cut a little slit. I cut both the top and bottom at the same time, right in the middle, and I've poked through this gold metallic thread, and I'm positioning it so that the card opens about to a 90-degree angle. And I'm securing the thread, there we go, 90 degrees. And I'm securing the threads with some double-sided adhesive. This is score tape, and I'm cutting away the excess so that when I open up the card, it positions the spinning penguins in just the right place so that they can spin. I'm using some strong adhesive here, and I'm going to place the back side on the back of the thread, and I'm putting more of the strong adhesive on the front penguin, and I'm going to sandwich that thread between the two. And there we go. I think that's the whole mechanism ready to go. I'm spinning it up, and I'm going to close it, and now I'm going to put score tape all around the back sides now of this inside liner sheet or inside liner section. So I'm going to adhere all of those double-sided adhesive tapes, and I'm opening up the card base, that outside portion, and now I'm going to take off all of that release paper off the back of the score tape, and I'm going to fold down the front cover. Now I'm going to do the same to the back so that the inside liner card is fully secured into the outside card base. I hope that made sense. Now I'm going to take off all of this release paper from the score tape and fold down the back of the card. So now when you spin it, mail it to someone, they open it, it'll spin. Isn't that fabulous? Here's another one. This is the one that I did of the Christmas lights. And now I'm taking some penguins also from the same stamp set. And these penguins, there aren't those intricate antlers or whatnot. It's the same on the left and the right. So I've stamped out 2 more penguins, and I'm just going to make one into the back and one into the front by just using a plain black marker to go over the face of the back sides that I'm making into the back sides. And I'm also coloring up the little ice skates. And these you can see finished up like this. Isn't that cute? Really simple. And I made one with a turquoise sweater and one with a little pink sweater, and I think these came out darling as well. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day.